Yo guys, Crescent here. Welcome to my Magicka Warden build video. I recently grinded an AD argonian Magicka Warden, and I maxed out everything like the undaunted vampires and stuff like that. Started playing it for 2-3 days and I instantly really like this setup I have, and the class itself is really refreshing in my opinion. You can build tanky, you can build good damage, you can build speedy. There's a lot of styles you can play with this class in my opinion. Of course, Magicka Warden is a little bit underwhelming in my opinion compared to Stamina Warden. Stamina Warden is definitely stronger, but I'll be posting some gameplay videos as well in 1 or 2 days or later today, and you can see how I play this build, which is really top tier as well. I would say you can kill almost everybody except maybe guys that just build full tank, or maybe a really disciplined shoe stacking song. Those two are those two things you can't really kill that easily, but other than that, most of the stuff you are able to kill. Alright, so you're here for the build. I'll go straight into the sets. So the first 5 piece we'll be using is Necrobotans. Necrobotans is just way too good for this class, Magicka Warden. It's a must-have in my opinion. Every single build should use Necrobotans because this is just made for Magicka Warden. Because like for example, people use Necrobotans on a sorcerer with pets, but if your pet dies, you don't get Necrobotans. For a Magicka Nightblade, you need to put down your shade, and shade has a short duration, and you have to target on the enemy to use a shadow image, which is, so those two are the condition. But with Betty, with the blue Betty skill, this blue Betty skill, you can just cast it every time you want, so your Necrobotans will have 100% uptime, which is really awesome. Okay, so the second 2 piece we'll be using is Pirate Skeleton. So you want Necrobotans or with Triglyph enchantment, and or impenetrable, and you want impenetrable head and shoulders as well, Pirate Skeleton. I will be using heavy head and medium shoulder, doesn't matter, you just can switch it around. Make sure it's 1 heavy 1 medium to get the undaunted passive. You want preferably impenetrable as well. Divines is okay I guess, but you want at least 5 piece impenetrable. And we'll be using 3 willpower. What I like to use is I use 1 reduce cost, 1 Magicka recovery, and 1 spell damage. And on the weapons, we'll be using Maelstrom Inferno Staff. Master Inferno Staff is pretty good as well because you'll be using one shield on the front bar. So I'll show you later, but it's either Master or Maelstrom. Maelstrom Restoration Staff, or you can use Master Restoration Staff as well. Make sure it's defending, that's the most important one. Alright, and before I go any further, I'll just go through the potions, poisons and everything. The food we'll be using is Witch Mother's Proton Brew. The poison, you can use the typical cost increase poison if you want, or you can use this one which increases cost of enemy Magicka ability but restores your Magicka. This is really good on the back bar and give enemy 6.4 second minor breach, which is really awesome as well. So either these 2 poisons or another poison, which I find this is almost a must-have for Magicka Warden. The problem with Magicka Warden is you don't have a snare on what I'm building here. I lack a snare on how I build my Magicka Warden. There's only ulti that provides me snare. I'm not using the shard AoE skill that gives 30% snare. But that's why instead of getting snare from my skills, I get snare from poisons. So this will give 50% slow, which is awesome. 6.4 seconds, that is long enough. Unless people use a shuffle to cut off that hindrance, but most likely this will proc very often. And the good thing is it immobilizes as well. So it immobilizes 2.4 seconds. People will just stop there so that your skill can hit them. Your Deep Fissure will be able to land on them. So this is a really good poison in my opinion. Slow and immobilize. Okay, the potions you'll be using is the typical tri-step, or you can use stealth detection. Is really important because it's really hard to aim the AoE skill to take Night Blades out of cloak, so I used and you know nowadays cyrodiil is full of Night Blades or Magicka Sword, Stamina Night Blade or Magicka Sword, so I think this potion is really important. Immune to knockback, detection, and Magicka. Another potion you can use is for more damage you use this one, which gives you immune to knockback, prophecy, spell crit, which is, and Magicka. So these are the 3 potions that I'll be using. Yeah, like I mentioned just now, the drink is Sheet Mundus Proton Brew. That's why we'll be using a lot of tri-stat glyph. You could even use 7 pieces tri-stat glyph so that you get that 12% or more stamina. I might even use more though. I'll just test it out. Alright, so the stats, I'll show you the stats, buff stats. You can see on my Destro bar, 2.26k spell damage. Max Magicka is pretty high, 42k, 0.5, and health is really decent as well, about 24 to 25k in cyrodiil. Stamina is 12k, recovery is pretty good as well. Everything is pretty decent. The good thing about this build is you can be really tanky on your back bar. I can show you if I buff up on my back bar. The resistance I'll get is physical resistance on a light armor build is 23k, which is unheard of, man. This is so freaking high. And spell resistance is even higher because we are in a light armor build, so you get more, so it's about 25k. This is crazily tanky. It's really deceptive. People might think you're in heavy armor, but actually you're in light armor. Alright, so now to the skills. These are the important stuff. Oh, before I forgot to mention, there are 2 setups that I'm using right now. I prefer to use the setup that I just mentioned: Necrobotans 2-piece, 5-piece, 5-piece Necrobotans, 2-piece Pirate Skeleton, 3-piece Willpower, and Maelstrom Staff. The another setup you can use is this one, Wizard Repose. You put on the back bar, on the resto bar, 3 rings and 1 head or shoulder, and then you put a 1-piece monster shoulder, impenetrable, of course, everything impenetrable, and you use 5 Necropotents with front bar, Maelstrom Inferno Staff or Master Inferno Staff. These 2 setups are really good. I would say Wizard Repose setup is better if you're in a group. In a small group, 2-man, 3-man, 4-man might be better because the debuff is oh my god, this chat is going crazy. I'll just ignore it. Alright, the debuff is applies to enemy target, so when when enemy hit your friend, they will get reduced 15% damage as well. That's why it's really good in a group. But definitely could work solo as well. It's really up to you. You have to test out these 2 builds. Both are really good, but I slightly favor the one with Pirate Skeleton at the moment. But this build is definitely really good as well. And this build gives you more recovery. That's why I can use 2 reduced costs. On another build, I use 1 reduced cost, 1 Magicka recovery, and 1 spell damage, and I got around the same Magicka recovery. But Wizard Repose gives you one piece Magicka recovery. That's why you get increased recovery with this build. Okay, so now I showed you the stats ready. I'll just go through the skills now, which is really important. Alright, let me change it up. I think I forgot to put it here, and this one should be here. Alright, I'll go through the front bar first. Like you already know the typical combo. We'll be using Deep Fissure into Bird, then into Crushing Shock. That's your basic combo. So you want to have these 3 skills on your front bar: Cliff Razor, Crushing Shock, or Force Powers if you want, and Deep Fissure. These 3 skills are must have on the front bar. And then I use Fetcher Infection. I like this skill because it's a really strong dot. I'll buff up and show you the damage. It's really insane. It's about 22k magic damage for 10 seconds, and you can increase that by another 50%, which is really awesome. So you can use, this is your flex spot actually. You can use Inner Light, you can use something else. I'll just go through it later, what you can put on this slot. I'll just go through all the skills. Because we'll be having a really high max Magicka on the front bar, that's why I use Harness on the front bar. and we'll be using Northern Storm just to increase our max Magicka by 8% on the front bar. This is a really good skill to kill stamina or Magicka Knight Blades because they can't cloak and their walks really slow when you apply this on them. Just stand on them and use this skill. Alright, the back bar, Betty, your long duration buff. This is 25 seconds, give you major sorcery, proc your necropotence. Ice Fortress, why I use this skill is because the minor protection that is available for you gives you 8% reduction incoming damage, which is really awesome. It stacks with something like a Pirate Skeleton or Wizard Repose, which is really good. That's why I like this skill. The resistance is pretty damn good as well, because our shields won't be forever up, because we only are using 2 shields. One is a defensive healing shield and one is the Harness Magicka. That's why they are not really big shields, just 9k shields. So Ice Fortress is a must-have in my opinion. Another skill is Leeching Vines. This skill is really damn good because when enemy attacks you when you're shielded, you will get the heal as well. That's why it's really good. Minor lifesteal is decent, I guess, not really significant, but this skill is really good when you're under pressure. You need to use it. Basically, you need to keep this skill up 100% of the time as well. Another option you could use instead of this skill, but I don't really recommend, is to use, unless you're having problems with your Magicka recovery, Magicka sustain, then you use rapid regen on a back bar like that. Okay, so you take away your poison, you take away this poison here, and then we are not using repose, sorry, we will be using Resto Staff, Maelstrom Resto Staff, so you get 481 Magicka every 4 seconds, which is about 240 Magicka recovery, which is really good. So you could build something like, for example, you could put rapid regeneration here, and only if you're having trouble with sustain, that is, you can put your Leeching Vines here. You take away the dot, so you'll be really tanky with both of this. But I like to use Leeching Vines on a back bar and just use the dot on the front bar. That is how I play. But it's really up to you. You could even use Leeching Vines here and put Inner Light front. You can switch it around, these 3 skills. But I highly recommend you use Leeching Vines, because another thing is you get all the passive from Leeching Vines. So if you heal yourself or a friend under 40%, you get Major Mending, really awesome. You get back, if you use this skill on a friend, you get back Magicka, you get back resource, and then your healing increase, nothing significant, just 2%, and you grant major toughness, which give us that 25k HP in cyrodiil as a light armor, which makes us really tanky. Okay, and Bird of Prey, this is a really good skill, especially to get away from Zergs, because Magicka classes are usually pretty slow unless you are Magicka Song. That's why this skill is so important. Gives you that major expedition 10 seconds, really good. 10 seconds major endurance, nothing special, just a bit of magic stamina recovery. You can get that from potions, but unless you're using another potion, which is those immovable potion, so this major endurance won't stack because you're not using tri-stat potion sometimes. And the minor berserk is just extra damage, and your healing word just for heals. And usually you could use 2 skills. Usually I will run Lights Champion. I don't have it morph yet, but you want the Lights Champions morph. Or if you want to go aggressive, you're playing in a group, you got a healer beside you, or you got a friend that can give you heals or support, just go for Meteor. You combo your Meteor into Deep Fissure, into a bird, into Crushing Shock, which is really awesome. But if you're playing solo, you feel like you're getting ganged a lot, you're getting under pressure a lot, just use Resto Ulti. Resto Ulti is really important to survive in cyrodiil, because nowadays everybody's running procs, everybody is running crazy high damage Magicka sorcerers, so it's really important. Or another skill you could consider is if you're running in a big group and you're getting snared a lot, you can't move a lot, because we are vampire, so you could definitely use Mistform, or you could even use Bats and a back bar for AoE damage, because Bats are cheaper. It's 150 compared to the AoE skill Northern Storm, which is 200. So it's really up to you, but this is how I like to play. You could use Mistform on the front bar as well, but I highly recommend you use Bird of Prey as well. This is a really good skill. Doesn't cost a lot as well. Okay, so now I think we are almost done with the skills. Let me just go through it really quickly. yeah, there's one thing I just want to mention, another skill that you could consider using, which is Nature Grass. You take the morph Nature's Embrace, okay? You use it on the front bar. Only if you're playing in a group, you can use this on your front bar. So you will pull to your friendly target, and you get that, you give them a really strong, I think it's even stronger than rapid regen. Yeah, definitely stronger. This skill gives you a 2 times stronger rapid regen, but you need a partner to use this skill. And with rapid regen, you could proc Maelstrom Resto Staff enchantment that gives you really good magicka recovery. So it's really up to you, but sometimes I feel like this skill is underappreciated. Not a lot of people use it. It's really important. It gives you that 2.1k per second heal, which is a lot, and considering that you have Leeching Wines up, which gives you another 1.8k, you get about 4k per second if somebody's hitting you. Really good heal. Alright, so we are done with the skills. I'll just go through the CP really quickly. Yeah, there's an important thing I need to mention in the CP as well, but I'll just go through the important stuff first. 32 into Siphoner, get 8%. 31 into Warlord, get 13%, break free. A bit into sprint, because sometimes I need to sprint a bit, you know, because my horse is only at like 8% speed or something, I can't remember, that's why I put some into sprint. Arcanist, you want the 14%, 75, don't put more than 75 points, you want just 14% because the next 25 points is just gonna give you 1%. Tenacity, not a lot, just 5%, 19 points. Shadow Ward, just 13 points, and Tumbling, 37. Tumbling is important because there are a lot of roots in the game, and when you dodge throw, you get root immunity for 2 seconds. That's why it's really important to put some into Tumbling. Alright, so this is where I spread out my damage points. I put 7 into Blast. I'm an Argonian, that's why I don't put so much into Blast, because I got Inherit 5% damage healing receive and 5% healing cost, so I get 10% more healings. So I just put less into Blast. You could put more if you are High Elf, or you are Breton, or you are Dark Elf. You can put more into Blast. Elfborn, 56 points. Elemental Expert, 43. Spell Erosion, 6, just a bit because our penetration is really high on this build already. Shattering Blows, 18, because yeah, against Shield Stackers is really important. Master at Arms, 72. Why I put a lot into Master at Arms is because, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the skills, even the dot, I think there's an error with the dot, the infection skill, it skills with Master at Arms. So your Cliff Racer skills with skill with this as well, your Force Pulse as well, even your Fissure. So it's really important to put a lot of points into Master at Arms. I put 72, get that nice 23% damage done. Staff Expert, because you're using a staff, so I just put some points into this, 6 points. Thaumaturge, I just put 1%, nothing special. You could even put 0 into it, doesn't really matter. Alright, Ironclad is really important. I put 40 points into this, get 16%. Crit resistance just a bit because we got a lot of crit resistance from our armor. Thick Skin, 20, 23 Hardy, and 23 into Elemental Defender. And I put 81 into Bastion. I put a lot into Bastion because we are using shields. You could put less into Bastion and a bit more into Ironclad. It's really up to you. I feel like Ironclad is a bit low, on my opinion. 40 points, maybe I could put more to get maybe 20% or so, but so far I find this pretty good for now. I might change it though, because yeah, it's, but for now I say put more into Bastion because we are still a light armor build, so we rely a lot on shields as well. Alright, and 7 into quick recovery. Okay, so that's about it for the CP. I'll just show you how I play this build. Of course, you make sure you watch the upcoming build gameplay video, so you will know how I really play this build. So usually you want your there are 2 long buffs, Betty, which I'm summoning now, and the Frost Armor. Those 2 are the 20-second plus buffs. And then the short buffs are 10 seconds, these 2, the wings and the Leeching Wines. So you need to always remember these 2 first, and then these 2. And then after you cast, after 10 seconds, you just cast back these 2 skills. the wings and the leeching wines, because those are really short. So you buff up everything. First thing you want to do is you light attack and then you put your dot. You light attack, you put your dot again. You make sure you animation cancel, because every skill you can animation cancel for this class. They are not channeling skills. So then you put down your fissure. You put the bird, and then you straight go into, you see the burst into force pulse. I do that again. Put 2 dot and then fissure, put a bird, and then force pulse. That's your combo usually. You can include a meteor into it as well if you want. It's really up to you. You can meteor. Usually you want to put fissure first, throw the bird, force pulse, and then no. Put fissure first, put up dot, put fissure, meteor, bird, force pulse, then the meteor will land. That's your combo. But usually I don't run meteor that often because I'm playing in a really small group. So I have to use restore ulti for defense. I really like restore ulti. Alright. So the important thing that you need to remember that bird is always stronger than, I'll show you the tooltip. This is unbuffed, so it's a bit low. The bird is 9.3, and crushing shock is about 2.5 times 3 is about 7.5. So you need to remember that crushing shock is weaker than bird because you can't dodge bird. You can only cloak bird or block it. When I call it bird, it's cliff racer, okay? So hope you understand. So bird is always stronger than crushing shock. That's why when people are running away from you, dot trolling away from you, use cliff racer, use the bird skill. Don't use crushing shock for damage. You can put dot as well because they can't dodge dot. So you put dot, you apply the bird. And then usually against Nightblade, I'll proc the Northern Storm. I'll jump on them non-stop. I'll pressure them with the bird a lot, and with crushing shock weaving, and I'll just walk towards them with the deep fissure. I think I'll be fighting a few Nightblades in the video, so you can see how I fight against Nightblade. Alright, so yeah, we are vampire. I already mentioned that. I forgot to mention that we are using the Sheet Mundus. That's why it's really important that you have this crit potion. So against tanky target, you feel like you just can't kill them, you just use this potion. It's really good. Get your crit up. That's why I mentioned earlier, you could take out the dot for inner light as well if you want. It's really up to you. So you get, for example, if I use inner light on my front bar, you can see my max Magicka is going to go up to 44k, which is really awesome. But I feel like with the crit potion, that is good enough. And I feel like against tanky DKs or Magicka sorcerers, I really need the dot. If I don't have the dot, it's really hard to kill them, because I'm not talking about potatoes, like players that don't know what they are doing. I'm talking about really good players, like know how to shield stack, they play smart, they line of sight and stuff. The dot is really important. Alright, because the dot will tick up to about 3k plus, about 3.2k or so, after you use it twice. So it's really important. Alright, I think that's about it for this build. Hope you like it, and I'll see you guys in cyrodiil. Okay, bye bye.